All right, so thank you all for coming. I'm Shiraz. I am a belief shifter. And what I do is I help you to discover the subconscious beliefs that you've got. Oh, he was talking. Okay. I can come up here for a bit. Okay, so I help you to discover the subconscious beliefs you've got that are creating the life that you have right now. So the thing I've discovered is that your entire life is created by your beliefs. And the problem with that is that most of your beliefs are going on at a subconscious level. So the life you have right now is exactly the life that you think is best for you. And if it's not showing up the way your conscious mind thinks is best, then there's a discrepancy between what you think consciously and what you think subconsciously. So the relationships you're having, the money you're having, the career you're having, all of that is at its best in this moment right now for you, according to your subconscious. So what we do in these workshops is I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to get onto the topic. I'm going to speak about the topic, but most of the night I'm going to have people up and put them in the hot seat here. We're going to talk about your relationships, and when I talk to you, I can tell if your subconscious beliefs match your conscious beliefs. And when they don't, I know you're lying. Now, I don't give a crap if you lie to me, but I know you're lying to you. So once we figure out that there's a lie going on there, then we'll dig down and find out what the belief is that's causing the lie. When we get to the belief, I'm going to ask you, are you willing to destroy that belief? If you say yes and you mean it, you have to mean it, the belief gets snuffed out in that moment. When that happens, a few things are going to happen in the room. Number one, me, when energy moves, my body reacts. I tend to yawn and I tend to cough. And I have to preface this so that people know I'm not sick. And oftentimes energy is moving just while you're having a conversation. I found that people can come to these events and not say a thing and still come out changed. Okay, so my body picks up those things. So sometimes I just start yawning while I'm talking or while someone else is talking, or coughing. It's just kind of crazy. But I have had people contact me after these events and tell me, oh my God, this has changed now. I had one girl contact me. She had chronic pain in her arm for 7 years. It was gone the next day. She didn't participate at all. She just sat through the session. Yeah, so anything can happen. People suddenly start making more money. People find the relationships they want. People get healthier if you're willing to let go of the beliefs. Now, anything I do for anyone up here, the energy is going out to everyone in the room. So when I ask them, are you willing to destroy the belief? You can say yes out loud or to yourself or in your mind, and it gets destroyed for you. If you are saying yes, I encourage you not to yell out yes, because I'm dealing with one person up here, and they might be struggling to get to that yes, and meanwhile you're like, yes! Let them get there, okay? So, but yeah, so it worked, and you'll see, it's going to happen for a lot of people here. A lot of people are going to feel the energy of when you shift. The most common things are feeling a little lighter and happier. But people have felt energy moving through their bodies. If it's a really deep emotion, don't be surprised if there's nausea. In this particular venue, no one has thrown up yet. But in other workshops I have had, that has happened when something deep just surfaced, and then that person's just like, oh my God. But I've seen people get hot, cold, shivers. Some people yawn like I do. Some unfortunate people burp or fart. All how your body processes energy. Some people will not feel anything, but changes are still happening. So, oh yeah, no, it's happening. So, if it happens to you, like everyone else, just forgive them tonight, because we don't know what's gonna happen with these people here. So yeah, if you ever hear me say "ow," that is because the person I'm talking to or someone in the audience is reacting to what I'm saying. And it's metaphorically, they're throwing energetic daggers at me saying, let's not talk about that, get off that subject. And those are usually beliefs that are really keeping you stuck. So those are the ones we want to really get moving out of there. And it's amazing how many times people are just, I'll ask them something that just seems such a little benign question, and I'm like, ow! And the wonderful thing is how energy works. I do these workshops online, and this, you can really see how energy works online because we're on a video chat. You can see everyone's faces on the video chat, and I'm working with one person, and only their screen starts to freeze up because they're in resistance to energy. And there was one call I actually had where the whole group just got triggered by something I said, and the whole group bumped me off the call. My connection got cut. It was crazy. And then when I logged back on, they're like, "Oh, we're sorry." So energy is a powerful thing. We're living in it. This whole world is composed of energy, and we're always exchanging energy with each other. So the thing I found is that our lives are composed of stories, okay? And we have all these stories for everything we do. And the thing we love about stories is we know how they work. We know the outcomes of them, and they're very, very comfortable. Now, the problem, though, is that we have stories like, I never meet the right person, or they're always available when I'm in a relationship, and I'm always available when they're in a relationship, right? All the best ones are taken, right? These are the stories we've come up with, and as much as we may hate these stories consciously, we love them at a subconscious level because everything's safe. It's a known universe. We know what's going to happen. There's no surprises, so we stay in our stories. We also get to be right. You know, and this is a crazy thing. I've found that people prefer to be right over being in a wonderful relationship, over being rich, over being healthy, right? And everyone just loves to be right, and they'll find any way they can to be right. So I'm offering you tonight to stop being right, right? And just imagine if being wrong was a wonderful thing. And you don't have to be wrong all the time. But let's say you're saying, you know, I'm never going to meet the right person. Oh, I was wrong. You know, I'm never going to make $1 million. Oh, I was wrong. Like, you know, what if being wrong was a wonderful thing? So we have these stories, and tonight I may notice that you're in a story. Most of the time I'm going to say, are you willing to destroy belief? I may ask, are you willing to step out of that story? Now, the other thing about stories is they are contagious. So you have a story, and you can cause other people to buy that story, right? And this happens all the time. And it's amazing because there's stories about, you know, the economy is bad is a story. Enough people buy that story and the economy becomes bad. But there's, even in a bad economy, there are people that are not in that story and they're thriving, right? But you'll see, like, mob mentality. Someone has a story and suddenly everyone buys it, and you've got a mob of people thinking the same thing. And afterwards, a lot of them say, I don't know, I was just caught up in it, right? Everyone bought the story of someone that started it off. When you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship and your story is, my partner always betrays me, and you're constantly in that story, that energy is going to hit your partner, right? And someone that may normally not betray you could suddenly get very frustrated, and there's one night they get drunk and they cheat on you, and they're like, I don't know what came over me. Well, that was your story influencing your partner. Your partner's stories influence you. And it's not just in what you do, it's what you feel. We've had people in these workshops. Once, I remember specifically, I was talking about stories, and I said, look, if you picked up a story from someone else, you can just step out of that story. And the way to check is think about what's coming up for you, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a thought, whether it's a physical sensation, and ask, is this my story, or whose story is this? And if there's a shift, then it's not actually yours. And then when you realize it's not yours, you can say, you know what, I'm done, I'm stepping out of that story. And there was a lady that came to one of the workshops, and she had a headache the whole time she was there. And she's like, oh, I wonder if this headache's actually mine. So I'm like, whose story is this? And she felt the shift. She goes, okay, I'm stepping out of that. And the headache just disappeared like that. So, and this is the, I've seen this. You can walk by a person with a headache and by their story you get a headache. This is the world we live in, right? So decide what stories work for you. I have some wonderful stories. I find wonderful parking spots. I know a lot of people that have that story, right? One of my favorite stories that I've talked about too much, and now my friends are wise to me, is that if I'm late, I make everyone else late, so they call me and say I'm going to be late, so it's not my fault anymore. And that worked for years, but now that I've been giving these talks, I'll get a phone call when I'm late. They're going, you're late, aren't you? Because I missed my bus, or because this just went wrong. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'm late. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna have to come up with a new story on that one time. They're all wise to it. But this is the thing to realize what's going on in relationships. Now, big thing on relationships, and I was at a talk here years ago, and I can't remember who you had talking about it, but he was talking about relationships. And one of the things he asked at the beginning was, I'd like everyone to come to an agreement with me that we're creating our lives, our decisions are creating the reality we're having. And so any issues we have are our issues and not our partner's issues and not everyone else's issues. It's our issues. Can we have that agreement? And everyone's like, yes, we'll have that agreement. And then he was working with people as well, and he got them up there. And he said, so, okay, so what's going on in your relationship? And almost everyone's like, well, my partner. So when we're up here, we're working on what's going on with you guys tonight. Okay? And I, like I said, if every one of your partners has cheated on you, you are probably in a story that every partner cheats on you. And this is the thing. When you're in a story, you have the evidence for that story. It's all around you. And so you could say, no, it's real, it's true, it's not my story, it's reality. But if you're creating your reality as you're going, you're fabricating the evidence as you go along. And that's one thing. Another thing you're doing is you're only paying attention to the evidence that suits you. So you could be with, you could say, you know, I always meet the wrong person, and I always meet like a person that takes me for granted. And then you'll be out someplace, and there'll be two people that approach you. One that would never take you for granted, and one that will always take you for granted. And you'll look at, and they could be equal in all other ways, and you'll be like, oh, I want this one. Right? Then you get into a relationship like, oh, he took me for granted again. Right? So the other one was right there. You just refused to see him. Right? And this happens all the time. I was at a singles event one time, and I was at a table with 6 people. There were 4 guys and 2 girls, and I was talking to the 2 girls, and 3 guys were talking together, which confused me because we're at a singles event and 3 guys are talking together. But I'm talking to these 2 girls, and we're talking about how hard it is in the dating world. And one of the girls says, well, the problem is there's twice as many single women as there are single men. And I'm like, looked at her and go, what? And she goes, yeah, that's just the way it is. That's why it's so hard for women, because there's twice as many of us, so there's this big competition. And I said, well, there's an equal amount of men and women on the planet. Even when you allow for same sex and all this stuff, it's going to still come out to about equal. So unless someone's hoarding all the men. And she said, but look, even now, there's 2 of us and 1 of you, twice as many girls as guys. And I'm like, there are 3 other guys at this table. They were within reaching distance of this girl. She could not see them because she was in her story. Okay? And this is what we do. We create our stories. We just look at what proves our stories. We ignore what disproves our stories. And then we go through life saying, this is the way my life works. So I'm inviting you guys to start noticing your stories. And look for places you can step out of your stories. If you have any of the stories I've just mentioned, you know, step out of them. Just tell yourself, I've had enough of that. And it is that simple. It seems a little crazy. It's like, what, I can just say I'm stepping out of it and it's over? When you make that determined decision, your reality changes, because it actually just causes that subconscious belief to shift. Now, I have done this multiple times in my life. Okay, I got rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 22. I spent years in pain and suffering until I found out the reason for it was I believed I was responsible for everyone in my life. While consciously I didn't want to be responsible for everyone in my life. So my body created a solution, said if you're in bed in pain, you don't have to be responsible. Problem solved. Well, at a subconscious level, great. At a conscious level, it fucking sucked. But once I found that out, I said, okay, you know what? If that's the problem, from now on, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone but me. I woke up the next morning, arthritis was gone. Okay? I used to get stopped at the airports over and over and over again, and I knew it. It's because I was black. And I'd started from the age of 19, and they would pull me out of a crowd of mixed people and just bring the black people out and check them. And I was like, oh my God, it's just this racist thing. I always get checked. And that was my story. But then I learned about stories, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this story. It's not working for me. I stepped out of that story. It's been 6 years I have not been checked at all. Actually, that's not true. I was just in Cuba, and my buddy got checked. And I came over to ask him what's going on. He's like, no, get out of here because, oh, now I'm checked too. I jumped into your story. I just realized. So that was funny. But like, I knew exactly what happened there. I just got sucked into your story just by walking up to him. And I noticed these stories going on around me all the time. Right? I see it when people are doing whatever they're doing. I've seen people always get the wrong order at a restaurant because that's their story, right? There's one, it just made me laugh. This waitress spilled drinks on this woman. And she was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And the woman's like, oh, it always happens. What? So these are the stories we're creating. And tonight we're focusing on relationship stories, focusing on relationship beliefs. And we're Facebooking Live right now. What I usually do is the first person is brave enough to be on Facebook Live, and then we stop that, and then it's just us for the rest of the night. Relationships. Let's talk a little bit about relationships first before we bring someone up. So I look at relationships a lot differently than most people do. So for a lot of people, a relationship is something where you commit to someone else. And I don't believe in commitment. Right? And this isn't to say that I believe that you should just be able to sleep with everyone else that you like and there's no commitment involved. I believe that when you create a relationship, it should be a relationship of choice, where you're choosing to be with that person every day, and they're choosing to be with you. Now, a lot of times I see people, they're in relationships, and they're just like, well, I'm in a committed relationship. I have to be in this relationship. I have to make it work. And sometimes they're miserable. And I've seen other people do it as an investment. Well, I've been 5 years with this person. I don't want to have wasted 5 years. This thing's got to work. And they're miserable, right? But what if we turn around and say, okay, so this is what's going to happen is every day I'm going to wake up and decide, do I want to be with this person today? Right? And I'm going to ask that person I'm with, do you want to be with me today? Or they can just be on their own and say, do I want to be this person? And if you keep saying, yes, I want to be with this person, you know you're in choice, you can leave. But if you just keep saying yes, then both of you know you're in a relationship where both of you are choosing each other over and over and over. And yes, there are going to be days where you're like, I'm not fucking choosing you today. You pissed me off, and no, not today. And it could be the whole day, it could be for a few hours, but then you get back, you know what, okay, I'm going to choose you again. Now, if you're in a relationship like that of choice, and let's say you're choosing that person 350 out of 365 days a year, to the rest of the world, you're in a committed relationship. But to you and your partner, you know you guys are making that choice every single day. And think of the energy in that relationship where it's like a yes to your partner over and over again, as opposed to, well, I'm in a relationship. I just, here I am. I've been in here for so long. This is it. We have kids. I can't get away. Like we've done this. I've already introduced them to my family, so we've got to make it work. And I've seen people. I just introduced them to my family last week. I can't break up with them now. I'm like, why not? You're a choice. So does that sound like a better way to do a relationship?
Yes.
Okay, one person wins.
Yes.
Everyone else is. Okay. So and so this is one of the things with relationships is start with the choice, and you're choosing this person. And even when you're dating, you're just choosing them now and then until it becomes choosing them every day. The other thing that happens when you're in a relationship, let's say when you're starting a relationship, and this is what I love to see, because it's just so crazy and it happens on both sides, is you meet someone and you're attracted to that person. And you're like, oh man, I'd really love to be with this person. And what goes on in your brain is, how do I present myself so I am the thing this person is most attracted to? It's not, I hope this person is attracted to me exactly as I am and who I am. It's how do I shift so that they like me? And so basically, you're basically taking parts of your body metaphorically and saying, okay, I don't need the arm and the leg because they're not going to like those. And I'll take this other arm, which I hate, and put that on because I know that's going to be attracted to them. And this leg here, okay, this one here. So now I'm not completely myself. I'm just sort of pretending to be something slightly different. But they're attracted now. I got them. We're going to make this work. And what's hilarious is the other person is doing the exact same thing. Right? So now you've got two people that aren't fully being themselves entering into this relationship and trying to make it work. And the amount of times I've seen people after like 3 or 6 months of being in a relationship where it's been too hard to hold that and they slip back to being themselves. And their partner slips back to being themselves and they're like, it's not the person I met. You're not the same person. I'm like, well, they never were the same. Now you're with the person you met. And now you realize, I don't like this person, right? So what if when you meet someone, instead of trying to be what they like, be you? And if they don't like you then, they're not going to like you 6 months from now. But if they do like you then, you're onto something, right? So forget trying to impress someone. Just be you. Encourage the person you're with to be themselves. I've gone on some first dates, and I just sort of freaked out the girls I've been with because they're like, "You're not behaving like a first date." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is me." They're like, "What?" I said, "This is me. If you don't like me now, you're not going to like me. So if you don't like me being me, we can end the date right now." And that has happened a couple times. But the girls that are just like, "Yeah, you know what? We've ended up being in relationships, and it's gone really well." Right? So, and your partner has to get this too. Your partner has to get, I've got to be me, you're going to be you. If it doesn't work, even though there may be this huge attraction right now, if it doesn't work now, it's not going to work down the line. So let's get over this and just be ourselves, and then see what happens. You'll filter out a lot. Like, wouldn't you rather find out right at the beginning that you're not a match with the person than 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 8 years down the line? I rented a house from a guy who had 2 kids, and I think they were the oldest was the age of 13 before he admitted that he was gay, and finally started being himself. Do you like? Some people will hold off for that long before they're starting to be them, right? So, yes, people up front that you might be attracted to may not like you for who you are, but then that's fine because there's other people that you're going to be attracted to that will like you for who you are. And here's the other thing. When you're you shine, okay? Have you ever gone to a dance club and there's that one person on the dance floor, they don't care what anyone thinks of them, they're just out there, they're having fun, they're dancing. Like, how much does that person shine? How attractive is that person? Half the people are like, I want to get out there and dance with that person. The other half of the people are like, I could never do that, that terrifies me because they're afraid of being seen, they're afraid of shining. But everyone's still focused on this person that's just shining, being themselves. Now, you can be that all the time if you just allow yourself to be. If you don't give a crap what anyone else thinks of you and just be you, you're going to attract all the people that resonate with who you are. And that's just going to create a crowd of friends that are amazing, a partner that's amazing, and just so much more ease in your life. So, how's that sound?
Pretty good.
Okay. Now, I'm saying this, but I know a lot of it's hard to get into that state. As much as you say, yeah, I'm going to be me, you get back out there and judgments come in from other people, right? And you're like, oh, I really want this person to like me, and I don't want to be seen this way. But and this is the thing, judgments are our biggest enemy in the world, okay? Because we all want these judgments from other people. We want these positive judgments, and we're always trying to get rid of the negative judgments. And I'm asking you now just to say screw it to the judgments, right? As long as you are not intentionally going out and trying to hurt someone, do whatever the hell you want, right? Because that's you creating your life. And so when judgments come in, there's a lot of ways to deal with them. And there's 2 major ways people deal with judgments. Number 1 is they repel the judgment, right? So I'd be like, oh, I think you're just a complete jerk, right? And you'd be like, I'm not a jerk. No, don't call me a jerk. And you try to think of ways to prove that you're a jerk. I mean, like, you're not a jerk. And so you're in this resistance to the judgment. So now you've got this battle of energy between these people. And it's not an easy way to function. And you're basically living your life not being you, but living your life trying to prove you're not something. That's never being you. That's proving you're not something else. So instead of pushing back the judgments, some people pull in the judgments. So I could say you're a jerk, and you're like, oh my God, you're right, I am a jerk. Oh no, what do I do? That's a horrible way to go if you're taking in these judgments from people. But a lot of people do it, and then they're trying to figure out how to make themselves better when someone else judged them being badly, for being bad. But here's a little thing that you need to be aware of. No one puts down another person when they're in a good space themselves. So if anyone is putting you down or saying bad things about you, there's something inside them that is saying that about them. and they're trying to put it on you so they feel better about themselves. So when you get that, no matter what anyone says to you, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's your opinion. That's what's going on in your world. Fine, right? Sometimes if it's a really harsh judgment that comes at me, I'm just like, oh, you must be feeling so bad. So, because the worse they come at you, the worse they're probably feeling inside. But the other thing is sometimes people give us good judgments. Now here's a new concept. Don't take those on either. Okay? And I was like, what? No, I want the good judgments. But here's the thing. If I say, oh my God, you are perfect, I love you exactly how you are, and you take that on, now you're trying to be perfect for me. You're not trying to be you anymore.
I'm perfect anyway.
You're perfect anyway. That works. Okay. So now you're no longer, again, functioning as who you are. You're trying to maintain this persona of what these people are complimenting you for, right? And that's work, right? I mean, sure, we'd love to be glamorous and we'd love to be attractive and sexy and everything, but when you're trying to be all that, that's work. When you're just being you, that comes out naturally. It's a lot easier. So instead of pushing the judgments away, instead of pulling the judgments in, just let them all go. Right? See what happens if whatever anyone says, you let it all go. Now, if people are complimenting you, say thank you. Right? Don't just like, yeah, that's your opinion, it's fine. But this is the thing, when people give me a judgment, I say thank you. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I say thank you. Because I'm just thanking them for their opinion, their judgment. It gives me an insight into who they are. And it screws a lot of people up, because if people tell me, oh, you're just a horrible person, I'm like, oh, thank you. And they're like, well, I know what you said, thank you so much. So you can mess with people this way, but it keeps you, you. And when you're you and you're trying to create relationships, that's when you're going to create the best relationships. Okay? So, I'm going to ramble some more in a little while. But if anyone wants to get worked on and go in the hot seat, I know everyone gets nervous the first time around. And I saw a hand go up there and go back down. Pardon? Oh yeah, he has his hand up every single time. But since no one else is going, we'll get him up here. Okay.
I'm here again.
You're here again.
I'm being me.
You're being you.
Actually, that's my question. I'm not like after transformational weekend. I went to your course and I learned that I was someone who was kind of desperate for attention and to receive from people.
Yep.
I'm not really sure who I am right now. Like, how do I be me? Like, it was such a big part of me that now that I'm kind of letting that go, I'm like just confused, Lord. How do I interact with people? Like, what am I? I'm not trying to get anything from other people these days, but it's just like the confused me. That's how I identify myself.
So what's actually happening is instead of trying to be you, you're trying to create another persona. Right? So you're saying that wasn't working. Now what can I make that will impress people another way? That isn't what it was before. So when you let that go and just say, it doesn't matter what people think of me. I'm just going to do my thing, right? Then that anxiety, that ease will just, so the anxiety and the ease. The anxiety will go and the ease will start to show up.
So just enjoy life?
Just enjoy life, yes.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's that simple.
But when you talk to people, like
yeah.
I'm trying to kind of go into that, understand the difference in how to go between holding space with people,
yeah.
like just during normal interaction.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to do that, or
you don't have to?
Oh, okay.
Right. So when holding space is a concept I teach in one of my courses, and it's just basically putting this energy of love around everyone, supportive energy. And it's something I do in every one of the workshops so that you guys can let go of your beliefs and not go into panic or stuff. But it's something I do when I'm working with you. But when you're being you, you don't have to hold space for anyone. You just be you. If you're trying to hold space for people, you're basically trying to help these people. You're trying to serve them and fix them and do stuff. You don't need to do that with them. You just be you. Just hang out. Just have fun. Enjoy the energy.
That's all I do.
That's all you need? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. That's it, Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Shiraz. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. And you can check out upcoming events at www.energeticmagic.com. And remember, be well, be aware, and be magical.